All right, so we're going to be changing things up a little bit because I just recently learned that my friend has dyslexia, and it just happens to be the same form of dyslexia that I have. I don't know the name for it, but
It's not one of those things where, like, if you drink after me, you also get dyslexia, so you don't have to worry about that if you're going to get secondhand dyslexia from the video. That's not how this works.
yeah, so our form of dyslexia, it's not that we read things upside down and backwards. It's as we're reading something, our brain will immediately try and perceive what's going to be in the future, and that's how we read it.
Yeah.
Until someone points out and says, no, it's like this. Like, I'll read a sentence and it'll go, oh, yeah, the dog is barking. It says sleeping. No, it doesn't.
I didn't want the dog to be sleeping. I wanted the dog to be barking. So therefore, my brain said, "Got you, bro. It's there."
So we're bringing this up to come to the point of how does dyslexia affect us in playing D&D? Because reading is a very big component of the game.
Sure.
With how many books there are. And I mean, I'm a rules lawyer. I read things lots of times to make sure I know the rules and figure things out, whereas Eron here takes it in a different way.
Yeah. So for me, whether it's playing it or running it, when it comes to characters or having NPCs and whatnot, from there, my brain as a defense mechanism leaves open to interpretation to a lot of separate things to expand or contract on certain things in a way that it's more about how you get there rather than it has to happen just like this. So whenever a game that I'm running is happening, that's kind of my thought process. In the same way, whenever it comes to certain rules, and that's why a lot of times we've done different house rules, because it's how I've interpreted it through having conversations with people in the party, and it's changed from game to game too. With like, hey, what are you guys comfortable with? Because at the end of the day, it's all about comfortability. It's all about just enjoying that. And if you're not enjoying it, then why are we even there? Time is the most precious of all commodities, and we're taking that to spend it with people. And the game is happening around us, but it's the people at the table that's actually the thing that's pushing it forward. So.
Exactly. See, for me, where the dyslexia comes in on me and the rules lawyer and everything is just I want things to be played right. But it comes from a place where growing up, my friends made fun of me so much and so hard for being a slow reader. And one of the reasons I was a slow reader is I would read something 2 or 3 or 4 times to make sure I read it right.
Yep.
And it caused me to be a slow reader, but at the same time, it drove me. I mean, I get it, bullying is bad, but bullying from my best friends, I never took it in a bad way. I took it as I need to get better. They have pointed out my weakness.
Yeah.
I need to get better. So I read things like super hard and super detailed and try and get to it. And like me reading and delving in, I became a faster reader. I became a better reader. I learned tricks like writing in different colors helps me to remember things better. Highlighting things makes it so that my ADHD and dyslexia doesn't jump all over the pages, so I can actually stay focused. And kind of how I play D&D trickles around that as well, because if certain things, my characters will immediately become super focused and go straight for it. And then there's times where it's like, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going over there.
Squirrel.
Yes.
No, and and the same way for me, but in a different route. My variant off to the side rather than staying on the timeline for all you Loki fans out there, was instead of diving into these roles so much that they were just not interesting to me. A lot of times the interesting part was the play and the dialogue and the chance of how things could work or not, rather than going super hard into one certain rule set or it has to play like this. I would throw it out there and just see what they did with it. In the same way, whenever it came to reading stories, rather, if you look at me and you say, hey, read this out loud, I would rather hit you with a car than read it. Whether it's a paragraph, it's on a slide, a book, whatever it is, I would much rather create my own story and have that interaction with people back and forth. And I think that was almost like a defense mechanism for my brain, where it's like, you can't read this, so instead of not reading it, you're going to create this even better story that's going to bring these people in closer to you, and then you're going to feed off of their energy, and feeding off of their energy. Like, luckily, I was around a lot of really, really cool people that had depths of knowledge that educated me on these rules in a way that I could understand them and what actually meant for me to understand these rules and to have these rules, because they were plug and played in real life settings or even in a fantasy setting when it came to the game, but it affected my character. And since I was so in tune and wrapped in with my character, I then internalized those things. So gaming has actually made my character in real life, Eron, a better person, and therefore from learning from there, I've been able to bring more people into the gaming side. So if there's ever anything that I can do to ever repay that and become that positive ripple, like, you don't have to be perfect at it. You just have to enjoy the people that are around you. And if you enjoy the people that are around you, you're going to do it more. If you do things more, you're going to get better at it. And if you get better at it, it's just that positive cycle again and again and again. So that's just my thought process on it.
Yeah, and see, like before, I was a very closed off individual and I was very shy. And it wasn't until I met my group of friends and like them, like I know it's going to be like people are going to hate me for saying this, but my friends making fun of me for my dyslexia and my slow reading, it made it so that I suddenly became specialized in this because no one wanted to be the DM because they didn't want to read all the rules and stuff. So if I knew the rules, somebody else could DM, and I could just be like, oh, it's played this way. It's played this way. You want to change it? You're the DM. That's cool. But it's this way. It's this way.
Your power gaming is the rules. So someone gave that to you, so you made that easier. Shameless plug back to the power gaming side of things on that video. Check that right below. And that's going to be, something that you love. And since you love it, it makes someone else's time DMing easier because they know, if I don't know this rule, Chris knows it. Let me just ask Chris. And I think that's something that's huge for overall just life enjoyment. Is one of the best things that you can ever do is just say, I don't know, but let me get back to you on that. Whether it's, with your significant other, whether it's at work, because no one wants you to just all out, just go, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Here, and then it's wrong and it comes back on everybody. It comes back on the leader that gave you the task because they didn't micromanage that to make sure it was done right. Same thing with D&D. So it blows back, but I think that's probably one of the most real and genuine answers on just, I don't know exactly how that works. Give me just a second. Let me ask somebody who does know it better, or give me a little bit of time so I can learn that, and I'll get right back to you.
Yeah.
Because everyone has that time where they just didn't know, and no one likes being that person to have to say it. But the more often that you say it, I think the easier life you're going to have, not only in game, but out of game too.
Yeah, and the confidence that came with me, like reading these things so much and learning them so well, made it to where I was more confident talking to people, speaking my mind,
for sure,
and like just in general. Because in our group, people usually say I'm the one that's not afraid to go talk to somebody. I'm the one that's not afraid to make a fool of myself because my friends made fun of me so much, I became immune to it.
Yeah.
Like, what do I care if a stranger doesn't know me?
My best friend of 20 years makes fun of me every day. Of course, what is this person that I don't know at Starbucks saying something to me mean?
So, it really matters not. But I needed that in my life to become a better person and to break through my walls.
Yep. So you're breaking down walls. You're like the juggernaut of Dungeons and Dragons. So
Dungeons and Dragons is what brought us together to even create this situation to where that allowed me to do that.
There were so many different and appealing things for Dungeons and Dragons for me. On the curiosity base, but the friends that I had that were already connected into it, they were the ones that really chopped down the trees and carved out that pathway to make that easier for me to walk that. And some of the most enjoyable times and memories that I have with certain people are on the tabletops and the games, on the squares of the mats. And I it's ridiculous to think where I would be without that, in the same way of not only on the rule following side of things, but just in life in general. So that's my thought process, and that's it.
Yeah, and like I mean, I can't imagine like how bad my reading would be if I didn't have my friends to push me into this. And like I mean, yeah, it's what I needed. We grew as people from it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how dyslexia helped us in life with Dungeons and Dragons and how we bring it to the table.
Yeah. Literally. Nice.
All right. Until then, guys, hey, if you like the content we're putting out, like, share, subscribe. Anybody else have dyslexia problems, put it in the comment. We'll talk about it. Tell us how it's helped you. Until then, catch us on our next video.
Later.